Excuse me. Can I quit this podcast?
I told Eddie Murphy to stay in college so he'd have something to fall back on.
I did great advice.
I love that introduction. I never get sick of it.
Don't waste time. Introduce our special guest.
Our special guest is,
We don't have one.
we don't have one. It's Jackie
I
and me.
thought you were going to book somebody. You thought I was going to book somebody. We both thought Bobby might do it, or maybe Michael Zinn, the producer. And here we are. We got poop in a handbag is what we got.
Actually, we did 25 shows when we started Stand Up Memories, just the two of us talking about our lives and our childhoods and the early days of comedy. We love that so much. We miss it, actually.
Well, we did it till we ran out of stuff to talk about, and now we're about to try and do it again. We already, thank God we're so old, we have no idea what we said.
Actually, by the time we did 25 shows, Jackie was yelling at me for telling the same story several times.
Several being 4. I'm not going to ask you to say what story it was.
It was a Seinfeld story that I'm not allowed to tell again because I've told it 4 times.
No, well, all you wanted to do was drop Jerry Seinfeld's name, and you just did it. So you done.
I dropped
now, my question is, Peter has a comedy university.
I do.
Where they have between 6, 8, 10, 12, however many people sign up, and they do 8 weeks, 7 weeks of training. And the 8th week, they come up and they do their 5, 7, 8 minutes, whatever they've developed over the course of his course, Peter and Rich Walker, and they're very good at what they do. And I always go to the graduation ceremonies, and they always bring all their relatives, and it's always packed. It's always a great night. My question: where did that come from?
Well, the big question is, how do you start out in comedy? And it's very, very difficult. Stand Up University at the Brokerage Comedy Club in Belmore, standupu.com, standupuniversity.com. Both of those work. And how do you start out in comedy? I know a lot of people are watching. A lot of people are walking around.
No, but what was the genesis of starting the college?
Was
the university,
being at the diner with Rich Walker, and hey, you want to have a comedy school? And I thought it was going to last 6 months, and we've been doing it now for 27 years,
which is frightening. So I'll just fly by that, and even though it's a monstrous accomplishment, but how did you just said we'll approach governors, or we
approached governors, and when
we have a concept.
We have a concept. We have a graduation show, and we can bring people in for the graduation show, and you can sell food and drinks and get money. And they said yes. What works about it? It's fun.
Do you advertise? How do you
get word of
people?
mouth? We're on Facebook, but it's basically
after 27 years. I don't think there's many people.
Mouth.
Not many people on Long Island that haven't taken the show, that taken the course.
No, it's amazing how many people want to do stand-up comedy. So many people walking around wanting to do stand-up comedy, but very few actually have the guts to walk through the door and do it.
There's a lot of people want to do it. There's also a lot of people who have friends or relatives that say, you should do it, though you should be a comedian. And now all of a sudden they have a route. But what really got me is how many people have taken it twice, 3 times,
Absolutely.
4 times, and a lot of very successful comedians.
We have comedians that get careers out of it. And we have comedians who go on stage in our graduation show and will never, ever go on stage again in their lives.
Now, has anybody ever taken that course and met someone and developed a relationship with them?
Have we ever had students meet and fall in love? No, comedians are not like that.
Did anybody ever
it's all about
meet
them.
and get it on?
What kind of we're having a serious discussion
well,
about
I'm thinking
my comedy
seriously
school.
of taking this course, and I want to know what's in it for me.
We've never rejected an applicant in 27
Did
years.
anybody ever meet another person trying to do it and become their partner?
People make lifelong friendships.
No, I mean partner. I'm talking about comedy partner.
We've had comedy teams. We've had comedy teams, but they come in knowing that they want to be a comedy team. Husband, wife, a very successful comedian named Chris Monty, who's been on our show, started as a comedy team. Uh, it's first of all, number one, it's fun, and number two, if you want to do it, do it. And comedy doesn't discriminate. We've had somebody as young as 12 in our class, and we've had somebody in their 80s. In their
realize
class.
you can go to jail for that. Of
I know,
course.
but the parents are in the back, so
Oh,
there's not a
okay.
problem.
Okay.
And people in their 80s, it's just fun. But the big thing is, how do you get your start? And if you just go to an open mic night and you go up and you're doing your set for the first time,
the average person.
it can be
explain
a
what
disaster.
an open mic.
An open mic is when you just go in and sign up, and they'll give you 5-6 minutes to.
There's a comedy club and there's an audience, and if you sign up, you can go on stage and give it a go.
Give it a go. And when you're starting out, you don't know what you're doing. The audience at an open mic night is going to be difficult and uninterested, and it can be a traumatizing experience. Our graduation show, the 6th week after we've worked hard for 5 weeks to get you 5-6 minutes of material, is a supportive environment to start your marathon.
And
which is
all the students
stand-up
are
comedy.
rooting for each other.
They're rooting for each
and
other.
because it's not a contest.
Their families and friends are there. It's not a contest. It's a supportive, fun experience. And as I say, we've been so successful. Anybody can give it a try. Now, the big question is, can you teach stand-up comedy? And people debate that. I think there is an element of being naturally funny, but you can teach techniques, and you can help people. Well, you know what we promise to the comedians who take stand-up university? We promise we're going to take 1 year off your development. When you're going to hit the open mic nights, because you will eventually, you will look like you've been doing it for a year.
It's like somebody that takes up golf and takes a few lessons before they start.
Right. You don't
So
want to start cold.
Right.
Exactly. That's a good analogy.
Well, as a golfer.
Stand-up university. Thank you for plugging that, Jackie. I appreciate it.
No,
And
I'm fascinated
he's
by the
been
whole
to the
thing.
graduation shows. I've seen you. We have good jokes. They got good jokes.
It's interesting, and
Everybody's different.
and and people bomb. If you've ever gone on stage, one thing about going on stage and trying to do stand-up, anybody that's ever done that becomes the hugest comedy fans in the world, because once you're up there and you know how difficult, like 5 minutes or 7 minutes is not a long time. But if you're on stage and you say something and nobody laughs, and then you say something else and nobody laughs, that's a long time, 5 or 7 minutes. Like, holy
That
mackerel.
is a long
It's
time.
crazy. And that gives people such a respect for comedy or any kind of entertainment. Because once you walk the mile in those shoes,
Well, I'll tell you something. Comedy can be addicting. The feeling of being up there and telling jokes and people laughing and people liking you is addicting. It's like you're a conductor conducting an orchestra, and it's like a drug. I've said this many times, and it's true that doing stand-up comedy can be better than sex, especially the way I do it.
Especially at your age. I'll tell you, it really is addictive, because you can have an audience of 300 people or 500 people and kill them and have a wonderful time. But I tell people all the time, if I go down to the post office and the local post office guy, my friend Larry, if I say a few things that make him laugh out loud, I'm good for the day. It's like I got my fix, and people think that's bull, and it is not. It's just there's something. I don't know what. People have all kinds of interpretation, like there's a big gaping hole and you can't fill the hole, but you never can. That's why you see, comedians that are unhappy because they're rich and successful, but you can't fill that hole, So it's so you spend your life trying to fill holes, but that's a whole nother story.
And the people who want to be stand-up comedians are so interesting. We start out by trying to find out the topics, the general subject they're going to talk about in their acts. And that exercise involves coming in with 10 things that make you angry. Okay. And
Well,
from that,
you've never told me that. That's interesting.
From that, You get subjects that we're going to create material out of. Topic, next comes the premise after you get the topic, which is your special take on the topic. And then the punchline, the surprise or twist that's going to make the audience laugh. Now, when we started the class, the first week's assignment was come in and tell us 5 things that you really hate and 5 things that you really love. And what we found pretty quickly was that the type of people who want to be comedians have trouble coming up with the 5 things that they love. But they can come in with an
I
infinite
really hate
number
my
of
wife. I really
things.
love my wife. I really hate my job, but sometimes I enjoy my, wow.
So overall, it's fun, but it's a big.
Now, when you
it's a big thing to try.
If you have 6 people in the class, say, when these people come in for the first class, do they run their ideas of things they hate by you in front of the whole class?
That's the second class. The things they hate are the second class. The first class, we get people up on stage and we ask them questions about themselves because we're trying to get to know them. Okay.
And give them a sense of being on stage.
Yeah. And we've got the class watching, and you've got the 2 professors, Rich and I, watching. What's your name? Where were you born? Who do you live with now? What do you do for a living? How long you been married?
And for the most part, they tell the truth.
Well, yeah. And it's quite possible to be, in fact, it's expected to be that you're nervous. But the first day, we were asking them questions where there's no wrong.
You're a comedian and a teacher. Why would
answers.
you be nervous?
I'm not nervous. The students are. But I still get nervous before shows. I've never seen.
I've seen your act, and I would be nervous too.
But I think it's normal to be nervous.
If you're not nervous, you don't belong in the business.
There's something wrong with you if you're not nervous.
If you're like, hey, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to be a superstar, and everybody's going to love me, there are guys like that, but guys,
you don't want to be in pain or panicked or having deep anxiety before you go on stage. But to be nervous is quite normal. Public speaking is the number one fear. Number one fear in America, public speaking. Death is second.
That's what's crazy. Yeah, like great army generals say that they could walk out into the middle of a battle, and watch the bullets fly by, but they're petrified to get up in front of 100, soldiers and say hello and how are you,
Just a few podcasts ago, we had comedian Rich Walker on, and he got so nervous when he was at McGuire's Comedy Club that he, went out the back door, and there was a little area and a railing, and he was leaning over the railing, throwing up. He was so nervous, and he looks to his left, and he sees another comedian on the same show throwing up. Somebody he knew.
I won't tell anybody if you don't tell anybody. That's great.
Stand Up University. Go to standupu.com. Thank you, man.
Fantastic fun.
Thank you. I want to tell the audience this. And I've never told you how cool I think this is. I think probably one of the most people, if not the most famous person on the planet, if you're over a certain age, is Paul McCartney. And Jackie had a chance, or made the chance, actually inserted himself into making the chance.
The opportunity created itself.
Okay. And with a little help from your being pushy, Jackie had the chance to tell Paul McCartney a joke. And could you tell that story?
I've always told people, like, the reason Woody Allen and famous people can walk around Manhattan is, for the most part, people leave them alone. They're part of the woodwork and part of the fabric of the community, or whatever you call it. And of course, it can't be crazy blatant, but they can walk around. And I'd always want to tell Paul McCartney jokes, because he used to come, not him, but Noel Redding used to come on the Stern Show, and he was the bass player in Jimi Hendrix Experience, and he was a great little English guy. He was a nut, and he'd come in and do the show often. He'd say, "Oh, last night, me and the wife, we had dinner with Paul and Linda, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Oh, you were out to dinner with Paul?" "Yeah, you were, telling dick jokes all night." And I'm like, you gotta introduce me to this guy, because as a joke teller, it's like a bond. It's like two Jets fans or two hockey fans. I know if we're together for 2 minutes, I'm gonna have that guy. And Howard Stern used to always yell, "No, McCartney would hate you. You're an asshole." Blah blah blah. And I sent my tapes and my CDs and everything to Paul McCartney's office in Manhattan and in London, and chased him. And we all went all the way out to Phoenix to see a show. And we were in the VIP lounge, but the sound check went too long, so his whole band was there, but he wasn't. And it was like, God does not want me to meet this guy. So what are you going to do? So I kept trying. So my girlfriend Barbara and I went to a screening of The Big Short that was produced by Tina Fey and Lorne Michaels. So the screening, it wasn't even a big thing, and it was the red light. It was a private screening at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And we're downstairs at the pre-party, and everybody that was anybody was there. And I don't, by the grace of God and my friend Tom Bernard at Sony Pictures Classics, I used to get into these things. And everybody was somebody you knew. And the people that I didn't recognize, I probably should have if I knew what I was doing. So we're there, and it's a great gang of people. And Paul McCartney and his wife, Nancy, come walking down the stairs. And it's a big round room. And Barbara and I are kind of on the outside of the circle. She says, "Jackie, there's Paul McCartney. You could tell him a joke." And I gave her the riot act. "Barbara, the reason he can come to a show like this or do things like this is because nobody's going to bother him. I'm sure there's not a person in this room that doesn't want to tell Paul McCartney where they were in 1964. And trust me, he does not give a fuck." All right. So I gave her this whole spiel. So we're standing at the outside of this round room, and Paul McCartney and his wife come walking around the circumference of the room. And his wife walks in front of us, like right in front of us. And she's like 2 or 3 steps ahead of Paul. And he walks, and I mean, he was a foot away from my nose. And I don't even know what overcame me. And he walked by, I just put my hand on his lapel to stop him, not forcefully. I just stopped him. And he turned to me and I said, "Can I tell you a joke?" And he said, "Sure." Because I had found out that, he's a big fan of dirty jokes. He loves dirty jokes. So I'll tell you the joke I told him. A guy goes for a job interview, and the interviewer says, "What do you think is your biggest fault?" And the guy says, "I think my biggest fault is my honesty." And the interviewer says, "Well, I don't think honesty is a fault." And the guy says, "I don't give a fuck what you think." Okay. So he
Great
leaves.
joke.
Oh, that's a good one, mate. That's a good one. I wish he had stood there and said, "Well, I got one for you," but he didn't. He just kept walking. I said to Nancy, I said to Barbara, I know that he's going over that joke in his head. I could tell by the way he laughed, he hadn't heard it before. And I know he's going to repeat it 20 times in the next day just to cement it in his mind. And it was like I didn't hang with the guy and tell jokes. So it's not really, I couldn't really check off the bucket list completely, but I could at least.
Oh, you can check it off. Believe me. You told him the joke, he laughed.
Meanwhile, to share with you folks, Paul McCartney must have been doing some kind of green screen thing for whatever reason, and they had the camera rolling, and he told a dirty joke in front of a green screen. And all you have to do is Google McCartney and goat, and it'll come up. I don't know whether it's on YouTube. I don't know what it's on, but just go on Google or whatever you use, whatever search engine, McCartney and goat or McCartney dirty joke, whatever. And it's a classic. I'm not going to tell you a joke, but it's a classic dirty joke that's very filthy. And it's sodomy, and it's, all the good things.
Let's hear it.
All the good things.
Let's hear it.
So there's a fella goes into the bar, and he says, give me a beer. And the bartender gives him a beer, and he says, you see that fence out there? I built that fence. Do they call me Ernie, the fence builder? No, no. And I saw the way you pulled the pint and filled the pint glass. Do they call you Charlie, the pint filler? No. But you suck one cock. No, in fact,
All right.
no, that was not his punchline. I apologize. His punchline was, but you fuck one goat. That's why McCartney goat. And it's so funny to see Paul
Okay.
McCartney telling a great dirty joke, and it must be 30 years old, the clip. You know,
That's hysterical.
and if they haven't taken it down by now, I mean, I saw it as recently a month ago, because you tell somebody that, and they're like, there's no way. There's no way. And there is way, you know. So I hope Paul, one day we'll get together and tell jokes. I exchanged jokes with Willie Nelson via email for the last 30 years, and nobody likes dirty jokes more than Willie. And I used to get up and tell jokes with Les Paul, who's we lost years ago, but you know, these old guys just love dirty jokes. And I'll wind this up with something I've said 100 times in this show. A huge fan of dirty jokes was Albert Einstein.
Oh, I love this.
That's a true story. And Albert Einstein's favorite joke was, my dick isn't that big, but I love every foot of it. Which is just wonderful.
And every time when Albert Einstein was a teenager and he used to play with himself, what would they call it, Jackie?
A stroke of genius.
Thank you very much. All right.
Why not? Why not?
And what is scary to me, and this show has got to keep perpetuating and telling these stories and keeping these people alive, because I teach history to young people. And I was talking about 1963. And I was talking about these 4 young men with their mop tops and their energy and their new sound that came to America. And not only did they change the course of music history, they changed the course of history itself. And a kid right down front said, you mean Green Day?
Listen,
And I
that's
said,
the price of getting old.
and I said, no, it was the Jonas Brothers. Oh my goodness.
I was doing a show, and I mean, it was already years ago, probably 10 or 20 years ago. And so many references, they just fall to the wayside. Like I'd be doing a show and not getting any laughs. And I'd say, how come I feel like Alan Funt's going to walk in here? What Jackie doesn't know is we told him not to laugh. Nobody knows who Alan Funt is. And I used to say, oh, nice shirt. You look like Liberace threw up on you. Nobody knows who Liberace is. Slowly. And then I had to get rid of all the jokes with pubic hair in them, because the girls don't have it anymore. And now pubic hair is making, do you know that, right? Pubic hair is making a comeback.
I do jokes in my act about the Congress of Vienna and Metternich, and nobody knows who Metternich and
when I knew that, I didn't know that. Talk about ending the show on a high point.
We have to talk about where we are. We are at Paradise Studios in Massapequa, right here on Long Island. This is such a great facility.
With Bobby Lacerra, the king of whatever
all
we
of
are.
These different studios. If you have any video needs at all, you got to come here to Paradise Studios. He will take care of you.
And if you have a favorite comic, boy, girl, man, woman, trans, whatever it is, tell them about the show and tell them if they'd like to be on the show to get a hold of us, because we just love talking to comics, brand new comics, old time comics. We haven't talked to any dead ones yet, but we'll get to that. Right.
And you can hear our podcast on Bobby's own network, Strong Island TV.
That's good.
Strong Island, Paradise Studios. That's all you have to remember.
That's good.
I have a gig coming up. Can I plug it?
Yeah.
Pizza Hut in Hicksville.
Oh my God.
No, that's a joke. I'm at a terrific,
that's where you work.
I'm at a terrific restaurant called Sonny's Canal House. in Baldwin, right here on Long Island, right on the water. Beautiful fellow comedians, all of whom have been on this show. Remember Rosie Fiamara, who came on this show? Rich Walker.
Of course.
And Chris Monty and me. What a show, December 3rd.
Unbelievable.
Sonny's Canal House in Baldwin. Great food, great fun.
Fantastic. All right. We will see you next time. You never know who's going to be here. You never know who's going to be on the show. And all of our shows are posted. And if you like this, you could watch them far into the night when you can't go to sleep.
StandUpUniversity.com. Don't miss us.
And everything about me is on jokeland.com. And my book is The Joke Man, Bow to Stern on Amazon. And also my the documentary they did on me is called Joke Man. And that's on Amazon Prime. And getting great feedback on it. And
last thing, Jackie, a lot of people follow you closely, and I want to say to them that the charges against Jackie have been dropped.
I'm just going to let that sit there and let you bomb on the last syllable. Dial 516-922-WINE, 516-922-9463. Free jokes for the universe since 1979.
That is still going on.
People cannot believe it. They say, oh, you're full of it. And then they dial, hey, this is Jackie. Thanks for using your finger.
Oh, man.
I love this, and I love you, Bales. And let's go have a cup of soup, and we will see you later.
See you.